Hello, welcome back to the channel. Today I bring you a game between GM Adly Ahmed, one of the finest players in Egypt, against Nigeria's #1 IM Odion. Adly was a rising star at the time of the game with a rating of 2448 and would later become the first Egyptian Grandmaster. He would later win the prestigious World Junior Crown in 2007, while IM Aikhoje Odion was a veteran national and the winner of gold medal in 1998 Chess Olympiad in Elisa, Russia. These were African Games which took place in 2003 Abuja, Nigeria. Please subscribe, like and comment to support the channel. GM Ahmed Adly is in the white pieces and IM Aikhoje Odion is in the black pieces. GM played knight f3, knight f6 from the IM, d4, d5, and after e3 we see bishop g4, which brings us to the colle system. In the colle system, the continuation, which is interesting, can begin with pawn c4, and after e6, queen b3, attacking the b7 pawn, b6, knight e5. So in this position, white is attacking the bishop which is on g4, at the same time threatening to exchange the pawn on d5 and play bishop b5 check, which will be unpleasant for black. That's why in this position, black always goes ahead to play c6, and after knight takes d4, knight takes d4, c takes d5, e takes d5, and knight c3, I can tell you that at least white has a slight advantage in the position. But let's go back. After bishop g4, Adly always wanted to play quiet systems, which he knew very well, and they could get him slight advantage from the opening. Played b3, opening up a square where to put the bishop on b2, and after e6, opening up for the bishop on f8, bishop b2, and then bishop b4, trying to inactivate the bishop which is on b2. And after c3, then the IM played bishop d6. Slightly from the opening, at least black has a solid position from the opening. After bishop e2, unpinning on the bishop which is on g4, knight b d7, knight b d2. And after queen e7, planning to go ahead and play e5, then white played c4, opening up for the bishop which is on b2 and also threatening to play pawn c5, which can trap the bishop which is on d6. That's why black played c6, opening up a running square for the bishop, and after knight e5, exchanging the bishop, bishop takes e2, queen takes e2, and after short castling, a3 was played from the GM, cutting off the bishop moves. So in this position, there was an interesting line which could begin with bishop takes e5, and after d takes e5, knight e4, knight takes e4, d takes e4, and after short castling, knight c5, attacking the b3 square. In case of pawn b4, then knight d3, attacking the bishop, at the same time attacking the pawn which is on e5, and later queen g5, attacking the pawn, and also this would give black a slight advantage. But however, after f3, IM Aikhoje played knight e8, planning to go ahead and play f6 to chase the knight which is on e5. So in this position, Adly played short castling. And after f6, there was also an interesting line which the GM could try at the time, which would be knight d3. And after e5, d takes e5, f takes e5, and c takes d5, c takes d5, e4, d4, and after f4, e takes f4. If you look at this position, the knight can come on f3, attacking the pawn which is on d4, the bishop and the knight attacking the pawn which is on d4, and also white is attempting to play e5, which can give him a slight advantage. However, after f6, the GM played knight takes d7, keeping it simple, queen takes d7, and after e4, to open up the center, IM played bishop f4. The IM's aim is to exchange the bishop with the knight and try to activate the knight which is on e8. So rook f e1, bishop takes d2, queen takes d2, and after knight d6, IM is just only planning to cement the knight on d5, which is a dream outpost for the knight. So in this position, Adly played f3, trying to see the plan black had, and black went ahead to play d takes c4, e5, which is the only move in the position. And this position, IM after the game, he was interviewed and he said, in case he would try c takes b3 would not work because after e takes d6, taking a free knight, queen takes d6, and after queen e3, black would not have enough compensation. That's why after e5, he went ahead and played c3, this very strong move. After queen takes c3, he went ahead and played knight b5, attacking the queen at the same time, moving the knight from the square where it was attacked. After queen c5, then he went ahead and played f5. He's wishing to play the knight on c7 and put the knight, the monster knight, on d5, which is a dream outpost for the knight. After f4, chasing the knight c7, bishop a3, then knight d5. This was the dream outpost for the knight throughout the whole game, and finally, IM Odion had been given an opportunity to play his knight on d5. After queen c1, attacking the rook which is on f8, then rook f7. If there was an interesting continuation which would begin with f4, and after queen d8, planning to launch all the pawns and also bring the queen into action, then rook f1. Have had simple chances to go ahead, but after rook f7, white played bishop d6, f4, taking over the f4 square and creating an open outpost on e3 for the knight. b4. b4 is a dubious move, and IM could take advantage by playing knight takes b4, and after bishop takes b4, queen takes d4 check and attacking the bishop which is on b4, and after king h1, queen takes b4, which gives black a slight advantage. But however, after b4, IM Odion played rook f5, trying to bring the rook to the king side and attack white. So after rook b1, defending the pawn which is on b4, h6, trying to open a window where the king can run from, b5, c takes b5, c takes b5. And after s6, Adly went ahead and played queen a3. But an interesting move would have been knight e3 instead of a6. And after rook e2, rook g5, queen d2, queen e8, trying to bring the queen on g6, attack the rook which is on b1, and also putting an eye on the b5 square, on the b5 pawn. This could give black a slight advantage. But however, after a takes b5, IM played a6. And after queen a3, queen e8, trying to bring more support to the rook which is on a8, b takes a6. And the more interesting move would have been b takes a6, trying to create a passed pawn in the game. But after b takes a6, IM played rook takes a6, which is also a good move. Queen d3, trying to centralize the queen and attack the pawn which is on b7 by the rook. Queen d7, defending the pawn. Rook b5 to connect the rooks to attack the pawn which is on b7. Rook g5, planning to flank the knight on e3 and attack the g2 pawn. Rook ab1, and after rook a2, Now the rook a2 is both rooks are attacking the pawn which is on g2. Then in this position, GM played rook 5, rook b2, and after queen f4, Adly went ahead and made a slight blunder in the position. He played queen d2, which is a blunder in the position. Adly had an interesting move, which is rook c1. Rook c1, we are trying to bring the rook on c8 and checkmate the black king. So in case of rook a1, then if Adly would go ahead play rook takes a1, queen takes a1, queen b1, and after queen takes b1, rook takes b1, b6. This is a playable game, but it gives black a slight advantage. However, after rook a1, the move which would make Adly survive longer in the game is rook b1, and this one would make them survive longer in the game. But however, after queen f4, Adly played queen d2, which is a blunder in the game. Remember, this is a rapid time control. After rook takes b2. So in this position, for example, if rook takes b2, then black is almost winning the game after queen a1 check, king f2, knight e3. The game is almost done because now there are multiple queen checks which are coming in. All the rook is attacking the pawn which is on g2, and I can tell you that white is in the mating net. That's why in this position, after rook takes b2, GM played queen takes b2, knight e3, attacking the g2 pawn, g4, f takes g3 ampersand, opening up the king, h4, and rook f5. So in this position, Adly went ahead and played queen takes b7, defending the pawn which is on f3, and after queen c2, threatening checkmate in 1, which prompted Adly to play queen b2, and after queen takes b2, rook takes b2. Remember, the queen which has been on b7 has been protecting the pawn which is on f3, so now black could play rook takes f3, and after rook b1, g2, emphasizing that the rook belongs to the f1 square, rook b8 check, and after king h7, rook f8, and after rook f1. In this position, Adly resigned because it is a checkmate in 2. For example, moves like king h2, queen g1 check, and after king h3, queen g2 is a checkmate. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope the game has been fantastic. I wish you the best of luck in your games.